By audience telepathy request, story time. Going to the movies at a West Marine on a trip with my dad when I was 9 years of age. Today is Tuesday, 19 August 2025, and here I, Tanis Coralee of Seattle, tell a story slash reflect on a particular trip to a West Marine nautical supply store with my dad in about 2001 when I was about 9 years of age, and during which I ended up watching a movie on a television suspended from the ceiling while I sat on the floor of an aisle. For me, it was going to the movies at a West Marine. So West Marine is a chain of nautical supplies. That's what it's a retail store, and it has like boating supplies and fishing supplies and stuff like that. And growing up, for a few years, we had a family boat, a 27-foot Bayliner, something like that. And so we would go to West Marine for boating supplies. And normally, like, we'd all go together. And there was this one time that my dad needed something particular, and he asked if I wanted to go along, and I volunteered. I think he asked, but okay. And so we decided to go, and I was like, yeah, I want to go. But I was about 9 years old, and the boat was like, we got it when I was like 8 years old or something like that. And it was, there's a bunch of nautical terminology and boat words and stuff like that. And so I was like, my little noggin was overwhelmed. I think a good example from like this particular trip was, because I remember like what I was thinking and feeling and stuff. And I was like, you know, we're driving. Well, he's driving, I'm riding to the West Marine. And we're like going, and I'm like, oh, please don't quiz me on boat stuff, you know, because I was like, okay, can I think of something if he does, you know, to like be like, well, I know these words. And I was like, what are words I know, but I don't necessarily like, I'm struggling with. So but I know that they're different words. The one was fiberglass, because we had a fiberglass dinghy, and the other was plexiglass. And I was like, I know they're different words, but I couldn't necessarily like be like, this one's this one, this one's this one, and like define them. I was like, I just know they're different words. So I was like, about like, where was my learning at the time? And so we get there, and I was like, I don't really know what to do. I don't have a lot to say, and he's looking for something particular. So we get there, and Dad like, we may have looked for it, and then he started talking to somebody. My dad can be a really big talker, and so I was like, okay, I gotta look active. I gotta be active, and I don't know how long we're gonna be here. So I start like walking the aisles, and I notice the TV suspended from the ceiling, and I'm like, I could watch a movie. It's like going to the movies, only it's in a West Marine. And that like actually occurred to me, and I was like, no, I gotta see if I can learn anything. And I was like reading, you know, the different merchandise, and I was like, I know none of these words. The only thing in this shop that I know is a buoy, you know, like put on the side of the boat, you know, so it doesn't bump into the hull of the boat, doesn't bump into the dock at a marina, that kind of thing. And so I was like, so I was like walking, and I was like, but I'm kind of tired walking. So I ended up going back to the TV, and I think like the best vantage point for me was sitting on the floor. So I sat down on the floor, and I watched it. I watched what was on the television, suspended from the ceiling, and there was a fishing boat, and it was out in the water, and there were big waves. And so it was 2001. And it was a really big storm, you know, and they were fighting to just make it through the storm. And so I watched the movie until it was time to go, and we left. And I do not think I asked for the name of the movie. The movie, it took me a while to figure out the name and find the movie, because they didn't say the name. I wasn't necessarily facial recognition level with the actors in it, but the movie was 2000 film The Perfect Storm. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Like, it had really good in-store turnaround on the movie that was released in theaters, you know, the year before. So it was actually like going to the movies where I was in a West Marine store when my dad was like, you know, looking for a part for the boat. and I was sitting on the ground being like, "There's big waves." I was, you know, the person on a 27-foot bayliner, like, or 23-foot or whatever was somewhere there. Like 3 or 4 foot waves are felt big time. So like on the perfect storm, I'm going like, I hope we don't see those waves when we're out in the Puget Sound. So like, I was just like, oh no, that's scary. So yeah, but I did eventually find it, and I have seen the whole movie now, The Perfect Storm. But I was like, yeah, that's a scary one. But yeah, so that's a story time. Going to the movies at a West Marine on a trip with my dad when I was 9 years of age.